So, Dan Oliver, welcome on.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
So, how did your rodeo career start?
Oh, many moons ago, we used to sit down and watch Calgary when it was on the tally, and buddy used to watch all the other rodeos and travel around with dad to the local ones and so forth. And was just watching one day and said, I'll give that a go. I'd tried a lot of other horse sports and thought I'll just give that a go. And here we are now.
So, you've just been saddle bronc, or?
Pretty much, yeah. I've been doing it a fair while now, and just basically just saddle bronc road and done a bit of pickup riding as well, and saddle broncs where it's at really. I think yeah.
Did you ever get on steers and that when you were a kid, or?
Only at sort of just people's places, just for fun. Got on a
Yeah.
few steers and that, and I've been on two bulls in my time just as a dare.
How'd
People,
that go?
um, I'm still alive. I didn't get hung up or drug or anything, but yeah, no, I've been on two bulls in my time, and yeah, I'm not a bull rider anyway. I'm a bull getter on
I think that's a lot of us.
Yeah,
Depends which week it is.
that's right. Yeah.
So, is your old man used to rodeo?
Yeah, Dad Denny Oliver, he done a few back in the day. I don't think he um travelled as heavily as what we do now.
Yeah.
Um, him and his brother Gomer did quite a fair few, but yeah, I sort of got the bug and ran with it.
And he supported you through it all?
Yeah, supported us and showed us and taught us everything he's known, and it's yeah, he wouldn't have been able to do it without him really.
And he was how you learn how to ride saddle bronc, or?
Yeah, he taught us. He showed me the basics, and then one of his mates and a fella that comes down to Echuca a fair bit, Spud Parker, showed us a bit.
Yeah.
And then went to a school ran by a fella called Mark Thatcher, and I learnt lots off him. He was very good. His son now Cooper is he's leading the pro tour at the moment for Australia. And another fella that taught us a lot was Jack O'Connell. He really got the ball rolling for me. So yeah, without sort of them four fellas, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Yeah, wow. And combination of all them just got you started, and then few fellas, like when you're traveling, who's your main sort of traveling partners over the years?
Um, the two that stick out the most would be Heath Chalmers and Cody Tyrrell. Heath was yeah, I'd done a lot of Ks with Heath and Cody. Oh, we've worn out a few cars in the last sort of 3 or 4 years. Cody and I, with the miles we've been doing. Yeah, to have those guys travelling with them and other fellas as well, you sort of bounce ideas off each other, and it's good to get a feel of you've got other people watching you and telling you what you're doing wrong or could improve on it. It just builds. You just keep getting
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, because you have them fellas that get you started, and then you have your traveling partners that you're trying to make each other better,
Yeah.
and then get each other down the road, and
Mm.
and you want to go first, second, and third with all your traveling partners if you can.
Yeah.
Whichever the order goes, it doesn't really matter a fuck. But
Yeah.
as long as there's cash in the car and you can get to the next one.
Yeah. No, there's been quite a fair few times we've had a money car, so been quite a fair few times where it hasn't been too.
The money car's the one you want to be
Bloody oath
traveling
it
in.
is. Yeah, bloody oath.
Yeah, lobster's a lot better than Macca's.
Oh, bloody oath.
So, what's the sort of biggest wreck you've had in your rodeo career?
Oh, probably the concussions is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Probably the concussion would be the thing that not scares you the most, but it's sort of there the most because like you can break a bone and it heals, and you can break it again, it still heals. Whereas the concussion sort of gets that bit worse each time. Um, that would be sort of the thing that would be the biggest thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that will end a career. Like a broken arm, it will heal
Yeah.
6 weeks, then you're right to get back
Yeah.
on. But if you start getting 10, 20 concussions, that's something that's going to bite you in the ass in
Yeah.
40s, 50s.
Yeah.
Like they're seeing it in football now,
Yeah.
the
Well, that's
effects that
right.
it's having, and I don't know the amount of concussions they're getting, but I do know that we get hit a lot harder getting on bulls or getting on bucking horses than another fella that weighs the same as you hitting
Yeah.
you. So I can only imagine the effects that it's going to have on us long term. But
Yeah. Oh well, there's still a lot of old cowboys kicking about. So
and they seem to have their wits about them too.
yeah, I think we'll be right. But yeah, it's something that yeah, I suppose probably when we first started riding, it wasn't pointed out as much. It probably wasn't a thing, and
Yeah.
now that you sort of see it on the tally and that with the football and so forth, you're like, oh, maybe I have had that before.
Mm. And I know that even in the PBR and that they're actually bringing in concussion rules where
Yeah, right. Well,
if
there
you've
you go.
had a knockout, you have to have a certain amount of time off
Yep.
and or pass a concussion test where
Yep.
like a medical professional will come and check all your senses to make sure that you are okay and you are right to go on.
Yeah. Well.
Because rodeo used to be one of the only professional sports that no medical professional could stop you from doing it.
Yep.
Where you look at football, anything, you can just like they just can cut you out. You have no say in it.
Yeah.
Where rodeo, yeah, like I've seen blokes getting on with casts and all sorts of stuff, and as long as they say that they're right, then everybody's like, "Oh, he must be right. He said he's right."
Yeah. Oh well, takes all sorts, I suppose. At the end of the day,
So, was your old man the only one that rodeoed out of your family, or is there a few?
no, he had a couple of brothers. There was one brother that Gomer. He was a bareback rider and a bronc rider and a bull rider. Um, he was. I didn't get to see him ride, but he was apparently fairly handy at it. So that
Yeah,
was yeah, sort of stemmed from there. Hearing those stories and seeing going to the local shows and watching people and looking at it on the tally, it was just one of those things. It's like I I tried a few other horse sports as a kid and had a go at this, and it was that first go, and it was like that's it. I got to do this. It was just that first time, and that was just getting that hit. You just
yeah,
wanted to keep going back. That was the thing. Yeah.
yeah. You can't get that high off anything else.
No.
So, what other horse sports have you done over the years?
Uh, back when I was a kid, I started off. Not many people know, but I started off one day eventing and English riding and so forth. And
Everyone keeps that dark in
yeah,
rodeo, but
that's it.
there is a few fellas that've been pretty handy.
Yeah, there's a few pictures and that. They're in a deep, dark place that no one will ever see, in the jobbers and that. But no, I started off at Pony Club doing the one day events and the English riding and that, and sort of progressed onto the camp drafting and did a little dabbled in cutting a bit, and both those were really good. I did enjoy them, but yeah, doing the bronc riding and the picking up, that's just something that was just next level.
Yeah,
Just really good.
because I had jockey on Kyle Maskell last week,
Yeah.
and I said, "What's a bigger high, riding bucking bulls or riding a race winner?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "There's nothing like rodeo.
Yeah.
Getting on." He goes, "That feeling and that adrenaline is just." He's like, winning a race is great, but you don't get that big hit like you do at a rodeo, like either getting on a bull or getting on a bucking horse. That
Yeah.
the adrenaline's flowing and being able to block out that doubt and do it and then pull it off. I think that's what makes the high so much better.
Yeah.
Because when you're racing or doing other sports, the thought of getting hurt isn't really there. The chances aren't as high.
No,
And then we go into a rough stock sport like we both do, and then it's most dangerous sports in the world. So,
yeah,
like,
and even still, like with the track work, all the races, you've got, you start around at the 1,000 meter shoot or the 1,200 or the 1,400 and that, and they do three-quarters of the race before the crowd hears them.
mm,
You're stepping across that animal in the buck and shoot, and it's the crowd's on you. It's
yeah.
like you can't even think about what you're doing because the crowd's there. It's party time.
And speaking of racing, you're a clerk of the course. Explain what that is.
So a clerk of the course is pretty much for either harness racing or the gallops. It's basically a pickup rider for the trots or the
Yeah.
gallops, which I don't do the gallops. I do the harness racing, um, and that's something I've been doing for a while. It can be a bit monotonous at times because they've improved it so much now that accidents and spills don't happen that much. But when there is something to do, it goes from peaceful to haywire in a split of a second, and it's that's sort of that adrenaline thing too that kicks in. Like when there's a horse to catch, it's a real good high, especially once you catch it. It's really good.
Because I had nothing to do with the trots, and Jonathan O'Donoghue
Yeah,
become getting on bulls here and all that, and so we went and watched a few of his horses race, and I didn't even realize that sport was dangerous. But once it goes bad, it goes really
yeah,
bad. Like carts flipping upside down, and
yeah. Oh, once it's pear shaped, it's big pear.
yeah. And how did you get into doing that?
Well, yeah, that was sort of family trait too. That was by dad. The dad had been doing that for a fair while, and the fella that was doing it with him decided he didn't want to do it anymore, and dad put it to the board and asked if I could do it, and I just it was one of those things. Lucky dad was there. I got to do that job because of him. So, and I've been doing it ever since. So
How old were you when you started doing that?
I was 14 when I started doing that.
Yeah,
So I've
well,
been doing it a fair while now. Yeah,
you'd have to be one of the youngest.
I was at the time for a very long time. I was the youngest. Yeah, I was probably up till I was sort of 25 or 6. I was the youngest person in the state. Yeah, so it was pretty good.
And how long has your dad been doing it for?
Oh, dad's been doing it for sort of 40 plus years now.
Yeah. And what are your nearly 20 years now?
Yeah, I'll be 22 this year.
Yeah, well.
So no, to be able to do that and do it at such a high standard for such a long time, we sort of pride ourselves on having our good handy horses to do it because same as the pickup riding, you can be the best pickup rider going, but if you're not on a handy horse,
Yeah,
it's
you're pretty useless.
not worth being out there.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things we pride ourselves on having sort of good handy horses to do catching when I cart them down the road to pick up. Because when you're going to pick up, it's fellas like yourselves that if you're getting on them rough stock horses, even though you're getting on to ride that animal, you're also putting your life in our hands. So if something goes wrong, I want to be able to make sure I can get there and get you out of a bind.
Because one thing I loved when first time I seen you is doing the clerk of the course is riding around in Western saddles doing it. Are you the only fellas that do that, or?
I'm pretty sure we are. I think there might be another fella down south that uses a rope saddle every now and then. But them horses when they take off, they're getting out of dodge. So every now and then you've got to grab the rein and get a dally and try and slow them down a bit. 'Cause they're like nothing faster than a runaway horse with no noise. So you've got to try and pull them up. Yeah.
Did you find that going from clerk of the course into pickup riding and doing that helped?
Oh, yes and no. Like that was probably one of those things. I've sort of been riding as a child, like as a kid, started riding when I was a kid, and Dad's a racehorse trainer, so I was always on horses and always had another horse beside me, or leading two at a time, and um, then sort of doing the clerk job. That sort of just was natural to have that other horse there and chase a horse down, and then once I started pickup riding, like there was the first ever pickup job I did was with a fella called Mick Batchelor, and he showed me a lot. And then, like, Dad had obviously shown me a lot too. And, Australia's greatest pickup rider, Lindsay Rosetta, I was happy, like, lucky enough to be mates with him, and he showed us a fair bit too. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I had his son on a few weeks ago, and
yeah,
it's amazing the career that Lindsay's had now.
yeah,
But
yeah,
to be at the top level for that long,
yeah.
it's pretty incredible.
Like if you ever get the chance to sit down and talk to Rosie, like anyone, like you just have to be a sponge. If you sit there and listen,
Mm.
you'd learn so much. Like he's really good. So, and he's happy to tell anyone that wants to listen, which is like that's how you learn.
Yeah, yeah. Be open to suggestion, and
Yeah,
like if you're lucky enough to be in the presence of someone that's done something you want to do,
yeah,
then ask them as many questions as they're happy to listen to,
yeah,
and soak it all in.
yeah. So having Dad and Rosie and Mick, be in your corner all the time and give you them little tips. Oh, horses doing this, we'll try that. Just
Yeah.
things that might take you a couple of weeks to work out by yourself. You've worked it out in 2 seconds because there was someone else watching.
I know that from riding bulls and that, people would give me advice and sort of trying to like take it in, and it doesn't make sense, and then I finally get in a situation where I'm like, it clicks. It's like that's what they were talking about. I hadn't sort of thought about it that way, or once that
Yeah,
problem come up, then it's like, oh, that's what they're talking about. So you sort of all that information. Sometimes it's an information overload because they've got so much information to give
yeah,
that they're telling you, and then it's not until a month or maybe even a year later something happens. You're like, I know what they're talking about now. Like it
yeah.
sort of sinks in.
And they want to, they can't do it forever. They want to see someone take it over. So
Mm.
it's good that every now and then they take you under their wing and put that bit of time into you because, I can, one day I might be able to pass that stuff on. So
Mm.
that's good. Same as you.
Yeah,
So why not?
yeah. Information is just gold, eh?
Yeah. Money in the bank.
Yeah. So how long have you been picking up for?
Oh, probably, started probably a couple of years after I started bronc riding. So probably a good 15 years, I'd say.
Yeah, wow. And who's the main contractors you work for?
Main contractors that I do work for are Ronnie Woodall um, down south of Victoria and Noel Fraser in South Australia. Um, they're the two main guys I do work for. Noel was the one that actually gave me sort of me start, me first go. So I try and, if Noel's got a show on, I try and get to that
Yeah.
because he was. Oh, I was fortunate enough for him to give me a go. So
Mm. Yeah, you got to look after the guys that looked after you.
yeah.
Mm.
So and the Woodalls are pretty great people and easy to get along with, and they've helped me. So I try and help. When they've got a show on, I get there to it as well.
And you try to do both when you do a show. You'll pick up and get on a bucking horse.
Yeah, I try to do both. Yeah, it's a bit of full on when the bronc ride's on. It's pretty full on for me. That sort of half hour that's on, but get it done. Usually, sort of go first. I have my horse saddled up. I get one of my mates to jump on and pick up for me.
Yeah, I've seen that Cade Griffiths has been jumping in and trying to
Cade,
do a little bit.
Cade does a few, and Luke Higgins gives us a hand when he's there, and another fella, James Clanders, he helps out as well. So I don't sort of designate it to one person. It's whoever's there that can give me a hand, and they help Cody do that one horse, and then I jump off my bronc, and if I've made it that far, and go jump back on the pickup horse and finish off the section. Yeah.
Yeah. It works good when you got a crew like that everybody's happy to help and
Yeah, well, they and them fellas, they all want to learn and be a
mm.
part of it too. So it's many hands make light work. At the end of the day, it's good. Yeah,
So tell us about this horse Barbie.
Barbie. Oh, well, at Mount Isa last year, they have the superhero ride, and the movie Barbie had been out for a bit, and a mate of mine, Gav Fry, had a big long chocolate wig. His hair's naturally chocolate, and he'd grown it all out. And I couldn't work out what he was going as in this superhero ride, and I said, "Oh, come on, you got to tell us," and he wouldn't tell us. He goes, "What are you going as?" I said, "No, you'll have to wait and see." So anyway, we get up there, and he's dressed up as Jesus. And I rocked up. I was dressed up as Barbie. Anyway, we went 1 and 2 in the superhero bronc ride. I had a handbag full of powder and give the crowd a big wave. And yeah, he was dressed up as Jesus. He beat me by a point or two. You can't argue with God, I guess.
Yeah, in God we trust.
Yeah. But nah, it was like that was an event that you sort of wish that had happened in more places because it was good for the crowd. It was a good thing. Yeah. I
Yeah, I
like
see in
that.
the States they always do that sort of dress up bronc ride and it's always a laugh, eh?
Yeah, it was real good fun.
I seen there was one just recently. A fella got on as Gene Simmons from Kiss, and it was Grace had the blow up guitar in his hand, and
Give me an idea for this year.
yeah. So you're gonna do it again?
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll do that again.
Yeah.
Why not? It's good fun.
Have you? How many times you been to Isa?
I only been the once. Been the once was lucky enough last year to make the short go in second spot, and mate of mine David Stacey ended up winning it. We went into the final and first and second, and horse that I drew in the final it didn't have the run that it usually has, and I went back and got a re-ride, and then got one that was too good for me in the re-ride, and got thrown off and knocked out, and looked like a real goose. But anyway, Davey got away with the chocolates that night, but that's all. At least he brought the buckle back to Victoria, so that's the main thing. That's all that mattered.
Well, there's some good bronc riders kicking around Victoria.
Yeah, yeah. There'd have to be. Well, there'd be a good half a dozen fellas coming out of here now that are like exceptional, and you can't. There's no such thing anymore as sneaking away to try and win one because there's always sort of two or three fellas that are
There to win, and
that are just as good as you. Like it's level wherever you go now,
Mm.
really.
and I've seen they're really pushing the bronc ride in Victoria now. You're getting good prize money, and
Yeah, well, they're starting to get a few more of the ex Bronx down here, which um, that's that's sort of the bronc riding's answer to PBR, I guess, in a way.
mm,
Which that's excellent for us. Like we've probably been crying out for that for a while. Like the PBR's been going a long time now, and have the bronc ride up at that level has just put so much more. Like the fellas that are coming out of the woodwork that are handy now, that are great.
mm,
It's unreal.
yeah, and you're getting to see them all in one place because if you got a 15 grand bronc ride, it's worth the plane ticket to go and try your luck.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like,
Like well, like they had Coriong on the other day, and I think there was 20 or 25 fellas there, and like I wouldn't have liked to have been picking the odds for who was going to win because it was anyone's show. Like every guy there was there to win, and they're all as good as each other.
and there's some good horses getting around now too, eh?
Oh, like you see when you enter a rodeo, it's sort of like you have that favourite one that you want to get on, but it doesn't really matter what one you get on because you can win it off any of them.
Yeah, that's always the best, eh? You can pay your money and you know that
Yeah,
whatever you're going to get, whether it's your favourite or not, you got a fair chance on winning.
yeah. So and that's a credit back to the contractors that have
Mm.
put the time and the money into to breeding such stock that they're up their game. So it's only fair that the riders do so too. Really,
It's good now you're getting the numbers to like
to run shows like that,
yeah,
it's good. Yeah,
And I never realised because I obviously just stick with the bulls, the amount of money and work that goes into breeding horses off straws and embryos. It's the odds aren't real high when they're doing it.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know a hell of a lot about
mm,
that, but I'd say it would be a gamble. It'd be a fair roll of the dice, and any time when I suppose any time when Mother Nature's not involved, like unless it's a live cover, um, when you when the people are involved, I suppose there's always that room for error.
mm.
So
Well, because I know a contractor that we both know. I don't want to say his name because it's not going to talk his financials out in public, but he spent 40 grand and got two foals.
yeah,
It's, it's a lot of money,
yeah,
especially in just for bucking horses. Like,
yeah,
because you're not seeing bucking horses sell like thoroughbreds for $1 million. So
yeah,
you're spending that sort of money to really grow this sport and make sure you fellas are getting on handy bucking horses. It's a credit to them, and a lot of people don't realise the amount of money and time that goes into getting these great horses to the shows. So
yeah. Well,
people
they're
can,
sort of they'd be. I guess by the time they sort of get them down the road and get them to a show, it's probably a 6 or 7 year process.
yeah,
Like it's a long time before you. Like yeah, as you say with the thoroughbreds getting ready to wind his career up by then. That's if he's any good.
but the only beauty is like what 4 or 5 years ago at the NFR there was a bucking horse that was 27 years old,
Yeah,
one of the best horses in the country in the US, and
yeah.
27 like you don't see any other sport
No, that's right.
being at that age at the top level. It's pretty amazing, and it just shines a light on how good these contractors are to the level of care and all that to keep a horse in that good a shape at a top level for that age. It's pretty amazing, really.
Yeah, bloody oath it is. And the effort and the time that goes into doing that,
Mm,
like that's just an exception. Like a credit, full credit to them, really.
mm. So, what's the favourite horse you've ever been on?
I'd have a handful of them.
Well, your top three then.
Top three would be first one would be have to be Cheyenne Top Girl. Was lucky enough to draw her 4 times and win on her twice. Um, Another horse would be Whiskey Boy. He never disappoints. He's the same day in day out. He's just unreal.
And who's the contractors that cart these horses?
Cheyenne Top Girl was campaigned by owned and campaigned by Gary McPhee.
Mm.
Whiskey Boy was I'm pretty sure he's owned by Trevor Nash and campaigned by Gill Brothers. And then third horse was just oh, back in the day when I was first starting to get going, it was one of old Jack's horses. It was called Hello Dolly. It was a big clumper and was just it was in his open string, but it was just something that was just easy to get along with and sort of learned a fair bit off that horse. I used to get on it in the practice pen and got on it, was lucky enough to draw it at one show of ease and was just something that sort of there was timing on it. You were able to learn a bit while you were there riding it. You weren't just trying to stay on it. You could learn a bit while you were going.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
Is it, for a young fella wanting to get into bronc riding, where would he go to start? Like, who's the best person to call? Is someone like yourself able to get a young fella started, or
yeah, I've got a few young fellas at home. I sort of help and coach along a bit and showing them a few things and cart them down the road with us and that. And um, there's there's going to be a school later in the year that me and another couple of fellas are running, and um, there's another school that Tumbarumba Rodeo Committee they run as well later in the year. And pretty much any sort of any of your open competitors,
a
they're
good place to start?
pretty much a good place to start. And they're all pretty approachable and easy to get along with. And yeah, it's what you get out is what you put in is what you get
Mm,
out of it, really. And that's what I tell these young fellas at home. Like, if you want to do it bad enough, you'll make it happen.
mm.
So, and
And and any of the contractors would probably be a great place to start. Gary McVie or
yeah, Gary
Ron Woodall.
and the Woodalls,
Mm.
like, yeah, they're, you know, they're like those two guys, Ron and Gary. They're like the Bible, really. Like,
Yeah.
that's, you can't do much without them. And if they don't know, well, it's not worth knowing.
Mm. Yeah,
That's pretty
exactly.
much where it is. But yeah, no, anybody that wants to learn, it's really just talk to one of them open fellas or the contractors, and they'll make it happen.
Mm. Yeah, because I was there at Gary's getting on a couple of bulls, and he had a few horses in the yards, and it's like, oh, what are the horses in? He's like, oh, I need to put some trips on them. I'm like, oh, I'll get on them. He's like, you sure? I've never been on it, and we got this rigging sorted, and yeah, I got on too, and you can have that to yourself. I want nothing to do with it. Eh? It was on bareback, and that feeling's different, eh?
Oh, I could imagine it would be.
You ever been on any bareback horses?
I got on one, and it didn't end real well, and I left it at that.
They can have that all to themselves.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. I like watching it. I do like watching it, but yeah, I wish I was good at it. I wanted to be good at it, but yeah, I wasn't quite persistent enough with that. How it ended up on that first one, I was, nah, it's not for me.
Because I had Jack Woodall on here a little while ago, and he rode saddle bronc. I said, "Oh, you ever get on bareback?" He goes, "No, bareback scared me." I didn't stick with the saddle bronc.
Yeah, I agree with him there.
We'll just take a little break and then
No
we'll get back
worries.
into it.
Sounds good.
So tell us about the Easter run. I know there's a bit of a yarn with a breakdown or something that happened.
Yeah, we a few years there ago, we bloody head off to Omeo and get up to Omeo, and we have a good show up there, and it's not too bad. And I thought I had a pretty good ute. Always looked after it, and it was probably wasn't the cleanest, but mechanically it was A1. And thought, as you know, you're living out of them. You're on the road every weekend, and you're sort of always looking after that ute, make sure it's serviced, it's got the best of everything that it needs, and go up to Omeo, and we're fully loaded, and head off, going to Buchan the next day, and you head south from Omeo down to Bruther, and then you got to go back up the other side to Buchan, get 5Ks out of Bruther, and start smoking. I thought, oh, I've done a tyre. So I get out and do a hot lap around the ute and float, and no tyres popped. I thought, oh, that's odd. I get back in and go to take off again, and it's, knocking like a maniac in a coffin. So I thought, far out. 5Ks from town, so I roll into town, pull up, and there's just oil running out everywhere. I'd thrown a rod through the block. So I pull up, I just walk across the other side of the road, and I sit there and looking at it, just had me lollies taken off me sort of look. Another young fella pulled up, and he goes, "What's happened?" I said, I told him, and he goes, "Oh, can you drive it at all? Like, can we shift it forward?" I said, "Oh, maybe." Anyway, we unhooked it and shifted it forward, and he towed me to Buchan, and I bronc rode and picked up there for the day, and then I had to get another fella to take us to Lang Lang. So I get a hitch a ride with the float from Buchan to Lang Lang, and then it rained all that night. And then Lang Lang got cancelled, so I had a ride home. And I said, "No, I'll go to Lang Lang, try and win some money." And then it gets cancelled anyway. I was stuck down in Mal. Anyway, ended up getting home and picked the car up, and yeah, it was just one of those things where whatever could go wrong, there was no end to it. It just kept happening.
It sounds like the Easter run I just had. We did the Great Western, then we're heading to Omeo. We just get to the bottom, like halfway up the mountain, car breaks down.
Yeah.
Just me and the missus, and she's freaking out. And I said, "Oh no, we'll just hitchhike. Once we get to the rodeo, like the community's great, we'll be able to keep getting down the road." So we get there, I put the finger out, end up hitchhiking. We get all the way over the mountain, get to Omeo, get on me bull, double foots me, I buck off him, double foots me in the chest, throws me into the buck and shoots, knocks me clean out. And I don't remember nothing. I thought that I just got out, bucked off, and just walked out. And got told from me missus, she goes, "Nah, they had to get you out of the arena, and the medics come and checked you, and they said, 'Oh, what's this big cut on the side of your face from?' I said, 'Oh, must have cut it shaving.' She's like, got a cut down here on the side of his face, and don't remember nothing. She ended up like we got another lift over to Buchan, and I woke up in the morning. She'd sorted everything. We're in a hotel or motel, and woke up. No idea how I got there. Nothing, and then still wasn't right. Like couldn't really remember. Every time I stood up, I'd get vertigo and felt like I was going to throw up. But I was like, "No, I want to get on because I got Golden Boy, and I'd always wanted to get on him from Woodles, like
Yep.
Ron Woodles' bull." And then go to the rodeo, and I'm like, "Fuck, probably shouldn't get on." And speaking of like before with the concussions, and everyone's like, "Oh, you probably shouldn't get on." I was like, "No, fuck, I'll get on." And went 7-8 or 7-9 or something on Golden Boy. Pretty happy. And then Mrs. is shaking her head. She goes, "Fuck it. Now you've done well. When you're fucked, then I can't say that you can't get on because I know that you've got the ability to still go at them." But we end up hitchhiking that whole run, and yeah, I don't think the missus would jump in the car for the next
Nah, she'll
next
be a
Easter.
bit gun shy the next Easter run.
Yeah. So you ride breakers and that's how you make a living?
Yeah, I'm for the last while. I've been working for Dad, working for him at his training business, helping him with the breakers and pre-trainers, and doing a lot of track work. And yeah, it's not that's not the answer to training as such for bronc riding, but it definitely helps.
Yeah.
Because the best way to practice bronc riding is obviously to be on broncs, but the second best thing is to be on horses.
Mm.
Um, you won't learn much sitting in this chair, but if you're on a horse, it takes the rocks and rolls out of the system. You're getting a feel for the horse, so at least if the horse moves or somewhere, you can sort of go with it. Um, I've I've never ever had a practice horse of my own. I've always rode. Um, Best practice I have ever really done when I was first starting out was my pickup horse. I used to put my bronc saddle on him and ride him with a bridle, and um, set up like half a dozen cavaletti jumps and go over the jumps. And I'd have my sister film it, come back, I'd have a look at it, see, right, I've got to do this here, that there, and go again. Like it was what we got back to before. If you want to make it happen, you will make it happen.
Mm.
That was something that I didn't have practice horses, so it was something that I could do to try and do the practice
Yeah.
that needed to happen.
And do you use a spur board, or is that mainly bareback that?
Oh, I've been on a spur board a few times, but I everybody's sort of different. I could probably get some benefits out of one. I haven't currently got any benefits out
Mm.
of one, but that's not to say that they're bad.
Yeah.
I don't go to the gym either, but
Mm.
I I work out on the racehorses and the breakers and that during the day. So
Mm.
it's
It's all up to the individual what you have access to. Like
yeah, and
same, I don't use a barrel as much as other people will because I've got 15 bulls in the paddock that I can run in for myself
yeah,
every time I want to keep tuning up and working on myself. It's pretty much what you have access to is
yeah,
you're in saddle every day. So
yeah. And what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another person. Like some fellas are religious on the spur board, and that's fine. And you can see them reap the rewards from it too. and then there's other fellas like myself, and there's other fellas that are different, and it's oh well, horses for courses, really.
Mm.
Like, you know, it's whatever works for you. If that works for you, then grab the bull by the horns and just go after it.
And that's advice you would give to a young fella, like just find what's sort of working for you and be open to.
Yeah, well, like if you want to learn, like, someone might say spur board, someone might say livestock, someone might say combination of both. There's 100 different ways.
Mm.
No one's right or wrong.
Mm.
It's try them all, and you'll learn something off everyone, and
Mm.
that's how you progress and you get better and you be good. Like I'm still. I've been doing it a while now, and I'm still listening and still learning
Mm.
because I'm not where I want to be yet,
Yeah.
and I'm not finished yet. Like I still want to be better and try and progress and get better at it. And in the process, if I can get better at it, that's something I can pass on to someone else.
Mm. And you still got unfinished business, like you still got a good career left in you.
Yeah, they you can probably see the colour of my hair. They call me the silver fox and the old fella and all the rest of it. And yeah, I've been up and about for a while, but yeah, I'm still not finished yet.
Mm.
There's still a bit of fire in the belly there, and
Still got your eyes set on the title. You wanna finish with an Australian title, or
that'd be the dream for everyone. I don't know that I'll ever get to the title
Mm.
as such, but just I think it's a pretty good feat in itself for where bronc riding is in Australia now. It's a bit of a feather in your cap to make the finals.
Mm.
In that event as such, because there's so much prize money and your riders are so exceptional. Um, the guys that are winning the titles, they're the elite, and full credit to them. But if you can make the finals and be riding against them, well, you
you're up there with them.
you're doing fairly well.
Yeah.
I think that's a big feather in your cap to be up there too.
And speaking of them top guys, what's the best bronc ride you've seen in person?
Oh, be a long time ago now. Best bronc ride I've seen in person was at they don't even run that rodeo anymore. It was at Heathcote.
That was where I found the love for rodeo. We
Yeah.
used to go as kids because Heathcote's only 20 minutes down the road from the ranch,
Yeah,
and then that's when I decided that I wanted to be a cowboy, wanted to
yeah,
be a bull rider because I just come from a sheep farm, just a thing, and yeah,
yeah.
continue on. Sorry.
No, you're right. No, it was. I just sort of started, and I'd never entered Heathcote, and I thought, oh, it's only an hour up the road. I'll go and watch. And yeah, there's a fella by the name of Bruce O'Dell. He rode QT that day, and he's
Who owned him?
Gary McPhee.
Gary McPhee. Yeah.
As another feather in Gary's cap, and yeah, Bruce set the Australian record on him on QT that day for 92 points, and it wasn't a whole lot of years later. I got my chance on QT. I didn't ride it. I went 7.8 or something, but I got bucked off and was nowhere in the position where Bruce was. But that was always something that I look back on and think, like that ride. It's just one of those things that was
That's the
stuck
fire in your belly.
yeah, stuck in my mind. And Bruce is another fella that you talk to when you see him. It doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing. He always talks to you and shakes your hand, and you can talk about the cow that got out up the neighbours the other day. It doesn't. He's one of those guys that doesn't have to be all about rodeo.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. But yeah, that ride that day, that was a bit of petrol on the fire too. Back when I was a young fella.
And that's the thing when we're rodeoing, you don't ever think that like moments in your career is gonna light a fire in a young fella's belly like that did for you.
Yeah.
So that's the cool thing looking back, that if he hears it or might even know it, that's something that's really fired you up when you're younger to be a bronc rider and be a champion. And like it's kind of cool. I like that part about rodeo, that it's not just your moment; it's whoever else is watching
Yeah.
it's moment at the same time. Mm.
Well, even though it's a single person event, it's still a team. It's
Mm.
still a team event at the same time because there's a team that goes into it. Um, for us as competitors to rock onto the next one, like you with your event with the bull riding, like it's all right riding the bull, but you got to get out of there too.
Mm.
So you need them handy blokes like Rosie
Mm.
there to protect you and get you
Yeah.
onto the next one. And same as with the bronc ride or the bareback, you can ride them quite easily, but you've still got to, you need that handy pickup man there to get you onto the next one
Mm.
because it's all about that next one. You got to get there,
Yeah.
and it's
If you're not there, you can't win any money.
no, you won't win any money sitting at home on the couch.
And you make a fair bit of stuff too. You make your own bronc reins and
Yeah, I bloody got a bit of a fascination with platen and making a bit of stuff and leather work and that, and it probably just gets back to that sort of. Oh, in America they call him a cowboy. In Australia we call him a stockman, I suppose. But that sort of stockman, sort of heritage, sort of stuff. You try and if you can't buy it, you make it.
yeah.
Um, Back when I wanted to start bronc riding, I didn't know where to get some of that stuff from, so just made it. I didn't know where to get bronc head collars and bronc reins from, so I just made them.
Mm.
Um, now everyone, there's makes me sound old, but there's internet and that now. Like, well, you got such a bigger access to that sort of
Yeah.
thing now, so it makes life a lot easier. But there's young fellas that come along and they go, oh, can you grab us a bronc rein, make us one? Yeah, what do you want? Tell me, it's easy, and it's good because you can help them out.
Mm.
So back
And
back
do
in
you-
the day, there wasn't them sort of people around, So it's good to be able to try and help them out and get them started.
And do you have a website or that for your platen, or just contact you through?
Nah, just look us up on Facebook and that, and
Yeah.
yeah, pretty easy. Or if you see us in person, pretty approachable and that. So it's we can accommodate you either way, really.
So, yeah, what do you want to sort of be remembered for once it's all said and done?
Oh, well, at the end of the day, I'd like to be remembered that, for trying to help out the younger generation and get them going and try and keep the sport that, both you and I and a lot of other people love alive. I wouldn't necessarily, I'm not the best bronc rider going, never claimed to be, but I do have a lot of knowledge, I would say, and I would like to pass that on. We're going to run a few schools towards the end of the year and, try and teach a few young fellas a few things and help them get them going. And as I said before, put a lot of time in with me pick up horses and that. I'd like to be remembered for the horsemanship side of things as well, the picking up and that, and yeah, that and trying to get the young fellas going so that we can keep this dream alive.
And speaking of the schools, where would people find them? Like, how do they book in? Or
I haven't finalised all the details yet, but
Yep.
that'll be coming in the next sort of month or so. But yeah, if you same thing, you get in contact with me on Facebook, and we'll
Yep.
be able to fit you in, and it'll all go from there.
And once you have the dates and everything sorted, we'll add the link on the Broken Bones and Bullshit page, and people can find it there. And we've got a runaway dog, but that doesn't matter. But it's been a pleasure having you on, and thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you very much.
And yeah, anyone that wants to subscribe to Broken Bones and Bullshit on YouTube, it helps us out and helps getting stories out there. So, cheers.